It's so bad. I'm a middle child, or was. I still
No,
get
we
trained
have
on
no.
it.
We deleted it. Oh my God.
It's a lot of note.
Not really. Yep. So you could keep going forever, but we gotta stop somewhere. Just for you, some of you. You know what the squared means? A little two up at the top, you know what that means? Well, tell me, it's okay, I'm not gonna laugh or smack you. Okay, so what does that mean you would actually do? So if it's, yeah, so that's exactly right, so if it's 6 squared, that means you take this number that many times. That's it.
talking about like what we're actually doing, not the numbers.
Oh. Oh, oh, oh. Still gotta see a couple of you right and we'll get it knocked out and get your rolling.
What are you gonna do this weekend?
Oh, I don't know, what are you gonna do?
We have like family friends coming up from all the way down,
Yeah?
and they're staying with us this weekend.
Oh, I've got some tissue back there.
Yeah, tonight we're going ice skating. And then I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. I think we're going shopping tomorrow.
I don't have a whole lot of plans. I had some friends that were gonna come over, but we changed it to next weekend.
Don't you live in like a cabin?
Where's
Did you
that?
build it?
I had somebody build it. I didn't personally stack
Yeah,
the
but that's
walls.
cool. I wish I lived in a cabin. I live in
Love
a
it.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
But it's a neighborhood in Haskell,
I
and
just
it's one of the smaller ones.
I
So
just wish I lived at a city.
Hickory Grove, you know where that's at?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like- Do you know like if you turn on Hickory Grove and instead of going straight, there's like that sharp curve?
I don't remember. I've been down there a long time.
I don't live in like the main. I just live in like another street.
Yeah. I got you.
Where is it?
Don't you live in like Trustwood? You said because your dog got out or something.
Is it fun?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he can.
Yeah, a couple hours later.
Were you scared?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Alright, so let's first off talk about that symbol. What can you tell me about that symbol?
Square root.
Okay, it's a square root.
You do like it times it by
So it's what times itself. Now, the technical mathematical term for this symbol is a radical.
A radical.
Uh-huh. So a radical can be a square root, and right here, can you see where my marker is hovering? Right here, if there's no number, that's where the index goes, it's an understood 2, so it's a square root. So you could have a 3 there, and that would be a cube root. Now this isn't, all we're gonna do for this unit is square roots, because our quadratics are squared. But just showing you for future, you can have a 4th there, and that would just be called a 4th root. So they keep going bigger, we could do 5th roots, 6th roots, and so on. But our radical, that's what that symbol is called, is a radical. So the ones we're dealing with today are just square roots. Alright, so you got your
Wait,
chart.
So what do I? So would I put the square root in that and radical?
You've got your chart that you copied with the first 20 perfect squares, so you're gonna be referencing that here when we do some examples and try to work. So, all we're gonna do today is simplify some radicals, okay?
So radical and square root, same thing.
Alright, so let's say I asked you to simplify this,
That's 7.
okay? Now, here's the shocker that I have to drop on you every year when we do this. 7 is half right.
7 squared.
No? Okay,
Square root.
No, I will agree that 7 squared equals 49. So 7 is correct. But what would I get if I did that?
Huh.
Get 49.
I would also get 49. So the square root of 49 can be positive or negative 7. Look at that.
Wait,
So
what?
that's how you want us to write these
Uh-huh.
answers?
Uh-huh.
So I could put this out, alright, all the way down, right? The references.
Mhm. what is the square root of 225? So look at your chart.
Plus or minus 15.
15, and so Austin, remember to make it positive or negative. Very good.
Wait, so.
Okay, so let's see what we would do if there's a number in front of the radical already. Oops, I jumped too far. There we go. Let's say we had 2 square roots of 144. Okay, before you start guessing and telling me answers, first off, there's no sign between the 2 and the radical, correct? So what operation do you do when there's no sign? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide? And something's right next to it. It means multiply. So when we find what the square root of 144 is, then there's a 2 out there that we'll have to multiply it by. Okay?
Oh.
So the square root of 144, it could be either what?
Positive, negative.
So we gotta do 2 times positive and negative 12,
24.
which would get you positive negative 24.
Can we just write do we have to put that, or can we just write positive, negative 24?
Positive negative 24 is good. I just wanted everybody to see why. Yep, yep, yep.
Wait, so, so you're doing, so you're finding the square root of 144, and then multiply by 2?
Correct, no, sir.
So,
Okay, let's see what to do now when we have a fraction being square rooted. Oh, my word. Where did that thing go? Hold on a minute, I lost my thing. Let's move you. Oh, well, I'll just have to figure it out later.
you see,
Alright.
this seems pretty easy.
It is very easy, just gotta review it before we start solving with it. Alright, oops, not up there. Let's say we had the square root of 4/9. Okay, now you're not gonna have to write this every time, but since we're reviewing it for the first time, I'm gonna teach it to you. When you're square rooting a whole fraction, that means you're square rooting the numerator and you're square rooting the denominator. Okay? So this would be positive, negative, 2/3, exactly right. Okay, now, all of those, I think we just did 4 examples, right? All 4 of those examples were all perfect squares. And so that works out nice and easy, we don't have to worry about a lot. But, we gotta learn what to do when there are non-perfect squares. So when there are non-perfect squares, we're gonna break down the radical using the biggest perfect square that'll go into it. So for example, let's say I have the square root of 112. Now here's what I want you to do. Go to your chart you just wrote. Is there something squared that you just wrote on the chart? Is there something squared that equals 112?
No.
No. So what is 112 closest to on that chart?
11 squared.
Okay, so 10 squared is 100, 11 squared is 121, so it's somewhere in between those. So we gotta start working backwards until we find the biggest perfect square off our list that'll go evenly into 112. So 10 squared is 100, 100 won't go evenly into it. 9 squared is 81, will 81 go evenly into it? Get your
I don't
calculator,
understand.
get your calculator and divide. 112 divided by 81, does it go evenly into it?
No.
No.
Okay, 8 squared is 64, does 64 go evenly into 112?
No.
No.
7 squared is 49, does 49 go evenly into 112? 6 squared is 36, does 36 go evenly into 112?
No,
No.
but 16 does. 4
Okay.
squared.
Okay, so 5 squared is 25, does 25 go evenly into it?
Sorry, I kinda got it.
That's okay. Does 25 go evenly
No.
into it? No, and then Kinley already checked 4 squared is 16. How many times, Kinley, does 16 go into 112?
7.
Okay, so 112, look how I wrote that, 112 is the same as 16 times 7. Okay, now, what is the square root of 16? So here's how this works, the square root of 16 is 4, so you're gonna bring 4 out to play. Is 7 a perfect square? No, it's not. Something squared on your chart doesn't equal 7. So 7 has to stay in the radical and do the chores.
How'd you get the 4 again?
What's the square root of 16?
Oh, 4.
And then I just need to add one thing over here to my answer. Very good, Jalen. Positive, negative, and that's it. So when it's not a perfect square, you look for the biggest perfect square that'll go evenly into it. Take that square root out, leave the other factor in. Okay, so let's try the square root of 245. So is there something squared on your chart that equals 245? Okay, so what's the closest around it? I mean, 220 squared is 400. That won't go.
Probably 16 squared.
Say that again.
The closest to 245
Uh-huh.
on the chart's 216.
And what's that?
No, it's 16 squared is 256.
Okay, so it's gonna be, we're gonna go from 16 backwards now. Thank you, sir. 100, so 15 squared is 225. Does 225 go evenly into that?
No.
Okay, 14 squared is 196. Does 196 go evenly into that?
No.
13 squared is 169. Does 169 go evenly into that?
No.
What'd you find, Kinley?
45.
45 's
Or
on.
49, 49,
Okay, 49 is a
Sorry.
perfect square. And how many times does 49 go into it?
35
5.
times.
5. Okay, what's the square root of 49?
7.
So you get to bring 7 out to play in the wiffle ball game. 5's not a perfect square, he's gotta stay in the house and do the chores. Put your plus minus sign and you're good.
That's pretty easy.
Good.
What would happen if the thing that we're multiplying them by, like if 5 was a bigger number and it was a perfect square, what would happen?
Then that means you didn't choose the biggest perfect square the first time, so that's why you wanna try to choose the biggest one. You just have another step to keep going. Alright, let's try another. Let's look at putting something out in front this time. 5 square root of 72. Okay, so we did one with something out front last time and we learned we had to multiply by it, but first off, we gotta check that 72. Is something squared equal 72 on your chart? No, so we gotta find what will go evenly into 72 that is on your chart. 8 squared is 64, 64 won't go into it evenly. 7 squared is 49, 49 won't go evenly. 6
Nine.
squared is 36, 36 will go evenly into it, won't it?
No.
Yeah. Now, Austin, 9 would as well, but you would end up in that situation Kira was asking
I
about.
accidentally skipped it.
That's all right.
Wait, whoa, why'd you?
What I want.
No, I'm just a bit confused right now.
I'm waiting for you to talk to me.
I don't know what I'm talking about. So I don't know what to say.
Well, is 72 the same as 36 times 2? Did you check me on
Oh,
that?
yeah, but what was you talking about?
Okay, so when we get ready to bring the square root out to play wiffle ball, there's a 5 already out there. So when our square root comes out, we do what with it with that 5?
So we talked about
Yep. So what is the square root of 36? So we're bringing a 6 out to the wiffle ball game. 5's already out there. 5 times 6 is 30. 2 stays in the house and does chores. Don't forget your plus minus sign. Winter wearing chicken dinner.
So we're only multiplying when we move outside of.
Yes. Alright, we'll look at one more for review. This will probably be the toughest one to find of the day. Let's say we got 3 square roots of 578.
Whoa.
Yep.
Well,
Alright, so on our chart, highest we went was 400, right? 400 won't go evenly into it. Next down, you had 361. That's not gonna go evenly into it.
oh, what the heck? It's like literally, it's like right after the 24 squares. But way before.
I think I got it. 17,
It is 17, very good. So what is 17 squared?
289,
So that's the same as 289 times what? 2, very good. Okay, then the square root of 289 is 17, but there's already a 3 out there, so we gotta do 3 times 17. What do you get for 3 times 17? 51 is in the wiffle ball game. 2's gotta stay in the house and do chores. Don't forget your plus minus sign, that's it.
Oh, dang.
this is absolutely.
Good. So the whole purpose of what we're doing today is, like I've been telling you, the next methods that we're gonna use to solve quadratics involve taking square roots. And so my plans from the book that we're using for this unit actually said to go ahead and start solving them, but I didn't wanna solve them until I made sure that y'all were okay with that. Now y'all did fine. I don't know what the rest of the classes are gonna be like, cause this is usually a hard concept, but y'all did pretty good, better than classes in the previous years. Y'all feel like y'all can handle that? Alright, everybody good? Alright, we'll cut that off, and Monday we'll start using that to solve some stuff. Cause I got a feeling,